Okay, everybody, this is chapter 8, section 3. We're multiplying binomials. If you remember from section 1, we defined a binomial as being two terms put together either with a plus sign or a minus sign. And today we're going to learn how to multiply two of them together. And this is kind of a really important topic. You're going to use this a bunch. It's a pretty big algebra concept, okay? We're going to learn two different ways to be able to do this. You guys can pick whichever way you feel comfortable with. The first one we're going to use is called FOIL. Okay, FOIL is an acronym. Each letter represents a specific word that is going to help us to remember how to be able to multiply binomials. So the definition for this, or what the words stand for, is you're going to multiply, okay? You're going to multiply the first, the outer, the inner, and the last terms in a binomial. So here are two binomials as an example. So if you want to write that down, so both of these are a binomial. And with the different terms that you have, we're going to identify the first, the outer, the inner, and the last terms and get FOIL. Okay. From this, we're going to get a series of other terms. We're going to try to put like terms together, and then we're going to simplify the expression. Okay. So the F in FOIL stands for the first terms in each set of parentheses. Okay. So F, and we're multiplying. And you got to remember back to the previous chapter that when we're multiplying variables, we want to add their exponents. So x times x is x squared. Okay. The O in FOIL is taking the outside terms from each set of parentheses. So the first one in the first set, the last one in the second set, and that's where you get the O in FOIL. So this is x times 5 gives me 5x. The I in FOIL is the inner terms, or the inside terms, so the two kind of really next to each other. So multiplying that gets me 2x, and that's I, and then the last two terms. So the last term in each set of parentheses, that's the L, gives me my last piece. So 2 times 5 is 10. Okay, so that's how you do FOIL with two binomials. You'll get 4 terms when you FOIL it, but typically these two in the middle, you should be able to either add or subtract them together, whatever the signs are. In this case, they're both x and they're both to the power of 1, so that will allow me to add them together. There is no other x squared, there is no other constant, so I'm just going to rewrite those with the now combining like terms gives me 7x plus 10. Okay. Okay, so that's one way to do it. We call it FOIL. Pretty straightforward. That's kind of what I usually do. One other method that we have is called boxes. So this is kind of a concept that you use in biology when you're looking at genes and trying to determine like somebody's hair color or somebody's eye color. You use something similar to this. What I'm going to do now is I'm using the same problem. So just to show you that it doesn't matter which way you do this, you pick. I'm going to take the first binomial and I'll write it across the top. And I like to bring the signs with me just so I don't forget. And I'm going to take the second binomial and put it down the side. Okay. And this is kind of like a little multiplication grid sometimes we use this to kind of help us get better with multiplications. You're going to take the top left x and you're going to multiply it to the x that's on the top of the column, and you're going to multiply them together. So remember the invisible ones, and you're going to put that product right there. So x to the first times x to the first is x squared. I'm going to take this x that's on the left and multiply it to the 2 on the top, and that gets me 2x. Okay. I'm going to take this 5 and multiply it to this x, and that's going to get me 5x. So you notice I'm putting each product in the box, and then I'm going to take the 5 and multiply it to the 2. So you're basically taking things from the left side and multiplying it, multiplying it to each of the terms on the top. Typically, you're going to be able to put these two things together, okay? And once again, it's like you're adding them together because they both have x and they're both to the power of 1. I don't have an x squared, so I'm going to rewrite it. 5x and 2x is 7x, and I have this 10 as a constant left over at the end. And you'll notice that I got the same answer two different ways. Once again, I'm not really particular that you have to do it one particular way. A lot of students like the boxes, and that's great. And then, you know, foiling is just something I learned, so I've stuck with it. Okay. All right, we're going to go here. Go ahead and write these down for me. I'll do one foil, one box, and then I'm going to let you pick how to do the last one. You pick how you want to do it yourself. Okay. So I'm going to use foil on this one. Okay. You got to remember here now we've got coefficients, so I need to multiply the coefficients. Don't forget about the invisible ones. You still need to add those too. All right. So F first. 2 times 3 is 6. X times x is x squared. O, outside ones. So 2x times a negative 7. So this is another thing. Just be careful with your signs. 2 times 7 is 14 with the x attached. Okay. I, the inside. So 4 times 3 is 12. Attach the x. Okay. And then L, the last term, so positive times a negative is a negative answer, and 4 times 7 is 28. I want to look to see if I can put those two together. I can because the powers are both 1. I don't have another x squared, so I'm just going to rewrite this one. Negative 14 and positive 12 gives me a negative 2x. And then I have a constant here at the end and nothing to put it with, okay? All right, so we're just simplifying it down, putting like terms together, okay? I'll do the box on this one. Okay, I'm going to put the first one across the top. Doesn't matter, I could put it down the side. I just put that one on the top, and then I'll put the other one down this side. Okay, make sure bring the signs with it, okay? 4x times 1x is 4x squared. 4x times negative 3 is negative 12x. Okay, and then I'll come down to the negative 5. Negative 5 times x is negative 5x. And negative 5 times negative 3 is going to give me a positive 15. Okay, so just be careful with that. Once again, this is about the only place I can put things together because they both have a power of 1. But just check it out. Once in a while, we give you something kind of weird. There might not be anything I can put together, okay? So I don't have another x term, or x squared term, so 4x squared. Negative 5 and negative 12 gives me a negative 17x. And you notice I'm not doing anything with the exponents, okay? They're staying a 1 and a 2 that I've done so far. And then I have this constant at the end plus 15, okay? All right, I'm going to let you guys go ahead and do this next one. You choose how you want to do it. Let's just see how well you can do that. If you want to hit pause and do it, and then come on back, and I'll have the solution up. I'm going to foil it, but we should get the same answer no matter what. So n times 4n is 4n squared. N times 7 is positive 7n. Negative 6 times 4 is negative 24n. And then negative 6 times 7, negative 42. I can put these together because variables and powers are the same. 4n squared, that gets me a negative 17n and minus 42. So either way, box or foil, that's the answer that you should have got. Okay. Okay. This next one's kind of one of those skills that we like to make sure that you know how to do. But here I got a binomial, and then I have a trinomial. Okay. And so this one's kind of specific. It's kind of important that maybe you do use the box. I kind of highly recommend that. But your box is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be more rectangular shaped. And then I'm going to split it in half. And then I'm going to cut it into 3 columns. Okay. I'm going to take the binomial and I'm going to put it down the side because there's only 2 places and there's 2 terms. I'm going to take the trinomial and I'm going to go across the top with it because there's 3 terms and there's 3 boxes, okay? And you'll notice I'm bringing the signs with them just so I can remember, okay? Once again, I'm running my fingers. You can do this a couple different ways, but I'm going to take this 2x first and multiply it to each of these 3, okay? Coefficients once again are getting multiplied, so 2 times 3 is 6, x to the first times x squared is x to the third. Don't forget those invisible ones. 2x times 1x is 2x squared. And then 2x times a negative 5 is a negative 10 with the x attached. Okay. Then I come down to the negative 7, and I'm going to do the same thing, multiply it, put the answers here. So negative 7 times 3 is a negative 21 with the x squared attached. Negative 7 times 1x is negative 7x. And then a negative times a negative is positive, so 7 times 5 is 35. Okay? Now, this is kind of critical here. I want to be able to put like terms together. So typically these diagonals right here, the power should usually be the same and the variables are the same. So I should be able to add and subtract them together. I don't have any other term to the third, so 6x to the third. These 2 guys are going to give me negative 19x squared. These 2 guys right here are going to get me negative 17x. And then I have this constant at the end. Okay? So that's multiplying a binomial and trinomial. Pretty much suggest you do it that way, much easier and organized, and then you can pretty clearly see what can be put together. Okay? All right, so that's kind of it. Really make sure that you practice your classwork. I think there's a lot of problems here. This is just something you kind of get in a rhythm and you get pretty good at it really quick. Be careful with signs. It's something we always kind of mess up. And then remember your rule about when you're multiplying, you need to add the exponents together. But when you add and subtract, leave them alone. Okay? All right. Have a good one. Let me know if you need any other help.